On this Christmas morning, I remember, well, it's actually the afternoon at this point, but I remember before I was even Catholic, all of the obstacles that were in my way when I was going through that initiation process in my conversion. At one point, it felt like literally everything was against me. Things were breaking everywhere. There was flooding. People were trying to break into my car. I had to call the cops. It was crazy. And I was basically, I could have become a nun probably based on like what I was doing at that point, you know? And so I walked into the chapel and I'm staring at the tabernacle, which is where the host is housed, right? And I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Yelling at God. And I wanted to know why you're doing this to me. Why is it so hard? What is the point of all of this? Why do I have to keep doing this? And I'm like, I want an answer now. Because I said, I want to know why I have to do this. And he's like, no. I'm like, why not? He's like, you're not ready yet. And I was upset. I'm like, that's not a good enough answer. I'm a Taurus stellium. I'm an Aries stellium. Aries rules my chart. I am a Leo, and I don't give up on anything, even if it looks like I'm giving up on things, right? Like I'm built for, I'm built for endurance, and really that's what my entire life really has been, was like different obstacle courses in different places, different systems, right? Getting through them. There was this one video about the New Jersey grand jury investigation into clergy sex abuse that the Catholic Church in New Jersey has been fighting for the last 7 years. And finally, the New Jersey Supreme Court got a hold of it and they allowed the investigation to start. I made a video about that. It's on my channel. And that video, when I made that, I already went through so much of this process. I thought I was there. But I wasn't quite yet. There was this fear of speaking the truth to power, even though that's literally what I've been doing my whole life. But when it gets to something like this, it's very hurtful too, because just knowing and intuiting years and years ago what was going on, understanding what my path is. See, what I'll say is that I believe that most people have soulmates or soul bonds, soul ties with people. And it's through those people that they learn they learn the lessons that they need to elevate, integrate, and things like that. For me, I think that's partially true, but also I think my karmic soul tie is literally to an institution, mainly the Catholic Church. And I had to figure out why that was holding me back so much. Like, why is that? It got to a point where it's like, who cares? Who cares who's watching? Right? And it is it was the fear of the church watching me. Not any YouTuber, but it was the church. And I'm going to read you something from Gomulka. This is from his Substack, which I will link down in the description box below. Former Oklahoma Governor Frank Keating resigned from his position as chairman of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, which is the USCCB, and he was on the review board. So he resigned from there, owing to his frustration that the bishops were covering up abuse cases that he and the board were investigating. Having compared secretive bishops to the mafia, Keating wrote in his letter of resignation to resist grand jury subpoenas, to suppress the names of offending clerics, to deny, to obfuscate, to explain away. That is the model of a criminal organization, not my church. He goes on to say, what Keating and most Catholics do not know is exactly how evil many bishops and priests really are. Evil to the point of having people killed. Gomulka says, not me, because of my work as a sex abuse advocate and investigative reporter who, for more than 3 decades, has reported on the sex trafficking of seminarians, gay orgies in Episcopal residences, and other scandalous clerical behavior, I could tell you how many times the question has been put to me, do you carry? Now, gay orgies in Episcopal residences. So, residences are where the bishops live. They're usually attached or right next to cathedrals. Residences are where the bishops live and other priests. And there's usually not a good reason for a priest to live in a residence. There's one of 3 reasons why a priest would live in a residence, other than the bishop. And that was actually the breaking point between somebody who I thought was a friend to me a long time ago. So, Gomulka, because of my work as a sex abuse advocate and investigative reporter who, for more than 3 decades, has reported on the sex trafficking of seminarians, gay orgies in Episcopal residences, and other scandalous clerical behavior, I can't tell you how many times the question has been put to me, do you carry? Anyone familiar with the Lavender Mafia, it is a thing, and the work of the late George Dumeyer or Stephen Brady, knows that a person can end up dead or have their life threatened for confronting and exposing closeted homosexual predator Catholic clergy. It's true. And he goes on in this article to outline at least 4 confirmed whistleblower priests who were killed, murdered. The throat chakra closing is because in the state of New Jersey, the Catholic Church has been fighting a grand jury investigation from coming out for the last 7 years. And what I found, and I'm not saying that they are linked, priests who have turned up unalived since August. Now, there's actually 4 or 5. I think 2 of them are not suspicious at all. Then in September and October, on 2 different occasions, I believe Raphael Ciro was first in September. He is, or was 45 years old, and he was found to have unalived himself, and there weren't any warning signs. And another priest from Secaucus, older gentleman, but again, was found deceased on the floor of the rectory. No cause of death, at least none that have been reported, and the police are saying there's no suspicious behavior. That's weird. These guys were not accused, but were from Colombia. And before I made this video, I went searching for documentation again, but curiously enough, a lot of that has been scrubbed from the internet. Information about the Colombian pipeline that would allegedly, supposedly, bring over priests from houses of formation in Colombia and other Latin American countries. They would vet them in these houses of formation out there, and then select a few or more and bring them over to seminaries in the United States. They would form them in these seminaries, and sometimes the seminarians would be ordained as priests to stay in that diocese, or oftentimes they would be sent to other dioceses around the country. So for this reason, I'm not saying that these are connected, but this is really happening. And when you're on the inside of this system, it's as though nothing else exists. It's like you feel like you're untouchable, right? It is a mafia. And to break away from that and then to speak up about it, that takes a lot of healing. right? Especially when your heart like was tied to someone else, and then there was this other betrayal that occurred that you knew was happening and nobody told you, and then boom, here it comes and smacks you in the face years later. Wild, really crazy stuff. So I knew what I had to heal, and what I had to say. And I'm not saying that all of these are connected. I'm not saying that anyone from the church murdered these Colombian priests, but I don't, I can only imagine how difficult it would be for a man who came out of poverty, perhaps from Colombia, and is now living this life where he has a loyalty and allegiance. They make vows, like to the death. They take things to the grave. It's to the grave, right? So they take these things to the grave. And how hard it must be for some of these guys to not tell the truth, to honor that loyalty. And if there's any question of it, I don't know. I don't know what would happen. And for me to sit here and to say this, what's going to happen to me? But I'm not saying anything, right? I'm just talking about what I see in the news, and I'll link all the articles below. What is real is what's happening behind the illusion of this stage, this front, this show of pure and holy men. When I was speaking about warlocks and witches and sorcerers, whatever I was saying, wizards, and all of that dark, like evil energy, I was actually referencing, for the most part, the church, because those are the most dangerous warlocks. It's like people who will tell you face to face, like, those are not the people you typically have to worry about, right? They have integrity and they're honest. And if they could have a direct conversation with you, they're most likely okay. Like, you have to discern that, because, there could be more behind the scenes. But for the most part, people who believe themselves to have certain practices, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it is the merging of these different practices, right? Those in the light and those who practice the dark arts, that merging together, just like our own shadows, our own light and our own shadow merging together, that's like full integration. That's completion. That's how you can actually accomplish things in life, right? When you have that integration. Just like this forward momentum that we're going to have in the new earth requires the marriage of shadow and light. It does. And that means all of us coming together and working together, because the real people we have to worry about here, or entities that we have to worry about here, are those working behind the scenes, behind an illusion of holiness, but have a double life. And I want answers, and I want them personally. And I think I am owed them. I would be grateful for that clarity. And to others of you who have taught me, who have formed me in some way, who have inspired me, thank you. May all of the good that you do come back to you tenfold. I love you guys. Merry Christmas. And maybe I'll see you again in some other way. God bless.